This video will be entirely spoiler-free. Finally, after 4.5 years, we have a new Xenoblade game. And with a new game means new guides. And if you're looking for the best resource for Xenoblade 3, make sure to subscribe to the channel as I plan to make a lot of content for this game covering all the classes, gems and accessories, grinding methods, and many, many other things. For now, let's get started with a general combat guide where I hopefully explain everything you might want to know or might be confused about related to Xenoblade 3's combat system. I guess we're going to start off with the very basics. First things first, to initiate combat, just press L or R to target an enemy and then press the A button to draw your weapon. If you hold down the A button, you will also dequip your weapon if you need to run away or anything like that. The most basic feature of combat is auto attacks. To auto-attack an enemy, simply stand close enough to that enemy and then don't move. Your attacks will, of course, automatically come out. In this game, you do not do any auto-attacks while moving, and there's a set amount of time after an auto-attack connects before the next one will come out. That means there is virtually no difference between standing still and moving slightly between attacks. Auto-attacks may come out slightly quicker if you don't move at all, but I cannot verify this yet. You can also dash between auto-attacks to reposition yourself by pressing down on the right stick. This also will not change when your next attack will come out. The animation will not come out any faster just because you move slightly after an auto attack connects. This is hopefully very straightforward. In the bottom right corner of the screen, you have an art palette with arts assigned to all 4 input buttons. These include 3 regular arts and a talent art. Let's talk about regular arts first. To use an art, simply press the button when it is off cooldown. Combat starts with all 3 of these arts off cooldown automatically. There are 2 different types of arts. The first type we'll discuss are Agnes arts because they are directly related to auto-attacking. Agnes arts are the diamond-shaped arts that you get from using characters and classes that originate in the country of Agnes, so Mio, Tyon, and Senna for the main cast. After using an art, it will go on cooldown. For Agnes class arts, these arts can be recharged by auto-attacking. Each art has a certain number of hits needed to come off cooldown, which can be found in the art list in the menu. It is worth mentioning that some weapons attack twice during an auto-attack sequence, which counts as a half charge each. If you are not auto-attacking, you cannot restore these arts to use again. If you miss an attack, that will not count as a required hit for the art to come back, so your auto-attack's landing is important. This is also why we have the half charges, since one attack could miss and one could hit. To more effectively use these arts, you want to stand still as much as you can, which means finding a good spot to attack from. Auto-attacking is not the only way to recharge these arts. You can also get 1 stack of recharge by performing an art cancel. How to do this is simple. When you have an art that is ready to be used, you want to use it at the exact moment an auto-attack connects. This will cancel the auto-attack into that art and recharge your arts quicker. Being able to effectively cancel arts will make Agnes arts all the more useful. The second type of art are the Kevis arts. These are the circle-shaped arts that come from the Kevis classes and characters, so Noah, Lons, and Uni. Kevis arts have an entirely different recharge method that is just based on time passed since the art was used. This means you can freely move around as much as you want and the art will still keep recharging. You can even miss attacks and the art will still keep recharging. These arts let you focus more on your positioning between using them at the cost of charging up slower generally. You can also cancel into these arts, but this does not make the arts recharge any faster. Arts make up the crux of the combat system, and each class can choose 3 of 5 arts to use at a time, so pick carefully depending on the situation. It's also worth mentioning that doing any form of damage to an enemy will generate aggro. This value determines who the enemy wants to target, and typically we want tanks to have aggro. Doing more damage gives you more aggro, which can be dangerous as an attacker. The line between an enemy and character is the aggro line. Blue means it's on a tank, and red means it's on an attacker or healer. Try to keep the line blue as much as you can. It is also worth noting that only healers can revive characters in this game, making them useful to have around just for that. Upon being revived, everything is fully on cooldown. Let's talk about the talent art now, which is assigned to the A button. Talent arts are typically more powerful arts or arts that have strong special effects. You can think of it somewhat as a special move. Talent arts recharge in an entirely different way from standard arts and works the same for both countries. The talent art can be refilled by doing what is known as a role action. Role actions typically mean doing something related to the role the character is. There are 3 types of roles: attacker, defender, and healer, which all have different role actions. Role actions usually include fulfilling the bonus effect of an art or performing combos. Many art descriptions will say that damage gets boosted if performed from a certain location relative to the enemy, or that you will apply break or something of the sort. If you execute this properly, you will gradually gain your talent art. You can tell what your position is relative to the enemy by looking at the arrow above the art list in the bottom right. If it is pointing up, you are in front of the enemy. Left or right means you are to the side, and down is from the back. For healers, placing ring effects, using heals, and buffs can help recharge. And for tanks, taking aggro or increasing aggro with arts will help. Once the talent art is off cooldown, you're free to use it whenever. When looking at your arts list in the menu, you'll be able to tell if the art has any area of effect to hit multiple enemies, if the attack is physical or ether based, and the power multiplier of the art, formerly known as damage ratio. Since this is day 1, I don't know the exact calculation on this yet, but a higher power multiplier means the art will deal more damage. Keep in mind, certain arts with positional effects can still do more damage if executed from the right spot, even if it has a lower potential power multiplier than another art. Since we're already in this menu, let's briefly talk about the stats listed to the left. First up, we have HP, which is just how much damage you can take before dying. We have a global attack stat. The higher this is, the more damage you deal with any class. Healing power is a new stat this time around that shows how strong your heals will be when healing arts are used. Having healers with high healing power is very helpful. Dexterity is your accuracy. The higher this is, the less attacks you'll miss. Agility is your evasion rate and affects how often you will dodge an attack. Critical rate is the chance any attack has at being a critical hit, which will deal more damage. Again, I don't have exact numbers, but in previous games this did 25% more damage by default. Block rate is how often that character will block an attack, reducing damage taken. Physical defense is the percentage that damage is reduced by when a physical attack hits you, and ether defense is the same for ether-based attacks. Enemies also have these values, which is why ether or physical arts can be better depending on the fight and enemy. That should cover the very basics. So this game has a class system. While not available early on in the game, eventually you will be able to unlock additional classes with your characters. I won't be showing this menu because of spoilers, but essentially you can choose a different class to get an entirely different weapon and set of skills on that character. You can also level up classes, strengthening their abilities the higher the class level. This will increase the damage ratio on arts, will shorten your art cooldowns, and increase the power of class skills. You can see class skills in the skill list here. Essentially, they have effects in combat to augment your abilities. Eventually, I'd like to make guides covering each individual class. I'm not going to discuss any particulars here, but a higher class level increases all your abilities with that class. Each time you unlock a class, one of these 6 characters will instantly gain access to the class and be able to use it. This will be the character who has S-ranked aptitude with the class. The higher the aptitude for a character, the faster they unlock the class, and the faster they will grow within the class. I do not know if there are any other additional benefits like a damage bonus for S-rank yet or not, but it is possible that if you're willing to put in the effort, even a D rank could be as strong as an S rank when max class rank. I don't know yet. As you level up different classes, you may learn one of the skills of that class as a master skill. Master skills can be assigned in the slots below the skill list, and more master skill slots will unlock as your level rises until you have 3 total. You get a new master skill when a class hits level 5 and when it hits level 15. These skills can come from any class, no matter what class you're currently using, so finding the best master skills for your current class can increase your success tremendously. That's not all you get from leveling up classes though. You will also get master arts. In combat, in the bottom left corner of the screen is an additional art palette. These arts are your master arts. Similar to master skills, these are arts you gain from leveling up classes that can be used with any other class. There is a restriction with master arts though. Your master arts must be from the opposite country as your class arts, so eventually you will end up with 3 Kevis arts and 3 Agnes arts. When you use a master art, you will quickly swap to that weapon and execute the attack as if you were using that weapon instead of your current one. According to the game, it assumes the weapon stats of the class, so it will modify your attack, critical hit rate, and the like for that art. This is useful to give you a variety of arts with a lot of useful effects from all of the different classes in the game. There is one more application of arts which is called fusion arts. Fusion arts are a feature where if you hold down the ZR button, you can combine arts from both palettes. Each art's position will be fused with a corresponding art on the other side. In order to use fusion arts, both arts you want to use must be off cooldown. This will apply the effects and damage of both arts at once. The fusion art will use the animation of your main class. Based on my own testing, in the fusion, the fused arts will still have the stats and attack type of the weapon it came from, even if it's applying at the same time as your main class art. So that's worth keeping in mind when picking your arts, as an ether-based attack may do more than a physical one if you have an ether up skill as a master skill. Fusion arts have a variety of useful applications, such as shortening the animation of a long attack, combining animations together, charging up party meter, charging up Ouroboros link level, and early on in the game, even coming with the additional benefit of allowing you to chain arts. You can even do extra combos you might not be able to otherwise, like apply topple, launch, or something when you couldn't before. I'd recommend combining arts that have good cooldown synergy. And what I mean by that is you should probably have a short timer-based cooldown linked up with a short auto-attack-based cooldown. Same thing with longer recharges. This ensures that you can use fusion arts more often. In the first part of the game, using a fusion art will allow you to cancel the fusion art into another art so you can use arts back to back. And if you have access to 2 fusion arts, you can cancel into the third art after that. I cannot verify this as of now, but I believe it also works the other way around where you can cancel a regular art into a fusion art as well. This is the only way to cancel arts into themselves for the early and middle sections of the game, which can help a lot in speeding up combat. Later on in the game, maybe about the halfway point or so, you'll gain the ability to chain all arts together as long as they are off cooldown, which also helps speed up combat a lot and is something you should learn how to do. Every chain of an art will also restore Agnes arts, making them even better. Arts chaining is an essential component to making combat more fun. The menu also has gems and accessories, but those are just equipables to increase stats and ability, so I don't want to waste too much time on them in this video, but I may discuss the best ones in the future. Let's talk about combos now. Certain arts have effects that can change the status of the enemy. The primary and first part of any combo is Break. In the class list, you'll likely see a lot of attacks that have the ability to break an enemy if applied from a certain position. Breaking an enemy will interrupt the current action the enemy is doing. That is about it in this game. However, if you inflict a break on an enemy, you can follow that up with a topple art. Any art that has the effect of topple can be used while break is still active to trip up the enemy and stop them from doing anything as long as the topple lasts. This is the primary part of both of the combos in this game. From here you can continue the combo in 2 different ways. The first way is the launch and smash combo. When an enemy is toppled, if you use an art that has the ability to launch, you will send the enemy spinning into the air. The enemy cannot attack or do anything as long as the launch persists, and enemies take increased damage while the launch remains active. Next, you can use Smash on the enemy while launch is active to inflict a very strong burst of damage. This will end the launch, but can be worth using just for the damage. However, it is best applied near the end of the launch to get as much time possible out of the launch's damage boost. This ends the combo, and if you have the ability, you can break the enemy again provided it doesn't resist it. The second combo path is the Daze and Burst combo. On a toppled enemy, you can inflict Daze from any art that has the ability to do so. A dazed enemy will remain on the ground and be unable to move. While an enemy is dazed, no aggro from any class is gained, so this can be a great time to unload with damage classes. On a dazed enemy, you can inflict Burst. Burst will cause the enemy to drop a lot of items if it can drop items, and it will also remove the Enraged status from enemies, making it a good defensive option later in fights. You can tell an enemy is enraged if the health bar of the enemy is all fiery. This grants enemies a number of bonuses, usually making them stronger, and happens typically around half health. In general, you want to use the Smash combo for damage and Burst combo for defensive utility, or if you just really want item drops, because some of those level 10 gems are a massive pain. This game also has buffs and debuffs that arts can apply to yourself and enemies, but there are way too many to discuss in a general combat video, so that's a topic best reserved for a different video. I want to briefly talk about the tactics menu that comes up when you hold down ZR while in combat. First and foremost, this allows you to swap between characters mid-combat by pressing the L and R buttons, which is such a great feature. This can allow you to assume control of any party member at any time as needed. You can start the fight as a tank to make yourself grab aggro easily, swap to an attacker to do some damage, then swap to a healer to heal the tank or attacker if you need to. AI can do a lot of this stuff perfectly fine, but the human player is always going to be smarter. This is a great feature that you should get used to using. You may not use it all the time, but it is worth knowing how to use properly. The one issue with this feature is that the AI might screw up some carefully laid out plans by using arts before you want them to, if you swap off of a character and then back to them, so that is worth considering before swapping. You may also want to stay on a specific character to gain the benefits of that class throughout the fight. While in the tactics menu, you also have access to 4 commands on the D-pad. The left will tell the AI which of the combos you want to focus on, whether the burst combo, smash combo, or either combo. Up on the D-pad is focused attack to make sure your allies are targeting the same enemy that you are. Down on the D-pad is follow leader, which will make the AI run to you and stop attacking. And to the right is fusion first, which will make the AI prioritize fusion arts for the bonus effects they have. None of these tactics are super essential, but it can help you strategize and work around the AI more. One of the major combat features in this game is interlinking and the Ouroboros forms. If you direct your attention to the bottom right, you will see interlink and level assigned to the left on the D-pad. Essentially, every fight you start off at level 0 on every single character, and each pair shares an interlink level between them. By using fusion arts, you can level up the interlink level all the way to 3 at max. Since this is day 1 and we don't have a data mine yet, I don't know if anything else contributes to this at this time, but regardless, the higher the level of interlink, the better. Using interlink will transform you and your dedicated partner into an Ouroboros form, and while in this form, you gain access to 3 new arts and can use them as much as you want as long as the form lasts. You are limited on time and need to be mindful of the overheat timer. Each art use will charge the talent art. The strength of the form will depend on the interlink level obtained before using it. Level 0 will give you very weak damage and a very low recharge on your Ouroboros talent art. Likewise, level 3 will give you some very strong damage and a fast charging talent art. Some arts even have bonus effects if used from level 3, which can be worth it. I'd say level 0 and 1 aren't really worth using, but 2 can be and 3 definitely is. When the form ends, you will be reset back to level 0. Ouroboros forms all have a skill tree, and in the skill tree is the ability to art cancel with them, which I would recommend making a priority to get to if you can. There's a lot of other useful skills and abilities in this tree, so definitely make sure you're taking advantage of this tree to power yourself up. I imagine you can eventually get everything. I might cover the most optimal skills to go for in a soon future video, we will see. Regardless, art canceling gives you a lot more damage, and sometimes you can squeeze in 2 talent arts with that and enough to produce heat gauge build-up skills. You can swap between you and your partner's form by using the D-pad once that is unlocked. You are also invincible in the form and will not take any damage, but your characters will be at the same health value when they get out of the form as they were before the form started, so do be mindful of that. The AI will typically use this automatically, either to prevent a death or if they have reached level 2 or 3. There is a game setting to change this to manual should you want to, but that is up to you. These forms can be a very powerful finisher or trump card in fights and should be used wisely. I'll briefly mention hero characters as you gain access to them later, and they act as a 7th party member to fight alongside you. You cannot directly control them, but they do come with a lot of useful abilities depending on their class, and using the right hero character can be beneficial in many fights in the game. There is one more major combat feature, which is chain attacks, but honestly there is so much to talk about there and things I'd want to visually show with examples that I think it would be best to give it its own video, which I should have out tomorrow. For now, this should cover most of the basic and most important aspects of combat, and hopefully explain how everything works. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment and I will try to answer to the best of my ability. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more guides related to Xenoblade 3, please subscribe as I will be covering everything I can in great detail such as class guides, accessories, gems, even making some tier lists after I experiment more. There's a lot to cover with this game and I hope you guys are having a ton of fun playing it. Thank you all so much for watching and hopefully I'll see you back here soon. Have a wonderful and blessed day.